So there's just this enormous demand for GPUs. And yes, on the surface, there is a shortage. The demand for GPUs in the cloud is 25 exaflops, and the supply in the cloud is 10. But what the market doesn't see is there's this whole sort of like hidden layer of supply, right? You've got things like independent data centers that are running, there's thousands of these in the US alone. They're running at 12 to 18% capacity. You've got all these crypto mining farms that are just, like bleeding profitability that are looking to put their hardware to work. And then you have consumer GPU. And so there's all these sort of sources. And that's kind of where IONET comes in. We can, as a DePIN, we're not constrained. So we can go out and we can aggregate and sort of instantly solve the problem. And really what that does, and I'm sure we'll touch on this more, is we're creating structural arbitrage, right? It's the same thing that Uber did for taxis or Airbnb did for hotels. By bringing more supply online, you're effectively able to simultaneously decrease prices by 10 times and increase profits for suppliers.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Edge Podcast. I'm DeFi Dad here with Nomadic from 4RC. Today's show covers a state-of-the-art decentralized computing network called IO.net. IO.net is an industry leader in the fast-growing Web3 sector known as Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network, aka DePIN. With the rise of AI and the growing demand for more GPUs in the public cloud, obtaining access to distributed computing resources presents several challenges, including limited availability, rising costs, and a lack of choice. In this episode, we'll discuss how IO.net solves for these problems by aggregating GPUs from underutilized sources such as independent data centers, crypto miners, and crypto projects such as Filecoin and Render. We'll dive into how they offer engineers an Airbnb-like marketplace to share and access massive amounts of computing power in a system that is accessible, customizable, cost-efficient, and easy to implement. But before we do, just a quick word from our sponsors who make the Edge Podcast possible. For most of us, our crypto journey started with MetaMask. And now with MetaMask Portfolio, we can do so much more. MetaMask Portfolio puts you in control. Use the dashboard to see all your assets and balances across your wallets in one place. The buy feature allows us to buy crypto assets effortlessly with fiat options such as PayPal or credit card. The swap feature allows us to swap any tokens anytime by finding a selection of available rates. The bridge feature allows us to bridge between networks including Ethereum, L1s, and L2s based on the best price and fastest delivery time. And with the stake feature, anyone in a few clicks can stake ETH and earn rewards. Do more in Web3 your way with a safe, simple, and convenient tool that's all in one place. Track and manage your Web3 everything at metamask.io/portfolio. Whether you're a trader, farmer, analyst, or newbie, you can trade smart with KyberSwap, the OG decentralized exchange and aggregator on 13 chains. Swap at the best rates, farm with real yields, set limit orders, use their proprietary trading and AI tools with the best UX in DeFi, securely and permissionlessly. Get better rates, better opportunities, better alpha, and a better trading experience. Trade smart now at kyberswap.com. Mike, before we get back to the show, can you explain what is liquid restaking?
Everybody at this point is familiar with liquid staking. It lets you take your staked ETH, mint a liquid staking token, and then use that token in DeFi. Well, the hottest thing in staking right now is restaking. It's the ability to reuse your staked ETH to provide Ethereum's trust layer to other services that want to benefit from it. Services like data availability layers, Oracle networks, other blockchains, and beyond. The benefit of restaking is that you get to earn additional staking rewards on top of your normal staking rewards. Well, currently, if you want to restake your ETH, your only option is to lock up your ETH. The reason that's a problem is because you can't use your restaked ETH in DeFi. We're launching ETH, the ETHER.FI liquid restaking token, because with liquid restaking, users get the benefit of staking rewards, restaking rewards, and they get to collect loyalty points for ETHER.FI and EigenLayer through this token. So it's the easiest way to get exposure to two up-and-coming early protocols, and on top of that, get all the benefits of staking and restaking.
To learn more about ETH liquid staking and liquid restaking, go to ETHER.FI.
It all started so simply with CryptoKitties and Maker on Ethereum, but quickly became complex with more applications and many chains. Today, everyone agrees, UX issues are the biggest blocker standing in the way of crypto adoption. Introducing Avocado. Multi-chain UX redesigned from the ground up. The first wallet to abstract networks, accounts, and gas. One gas tank to pay transaction fees on all chains, in USDC. And native access to Instadapp's powerful, custom DeFi strategies. Avocado, one wallet to rule all chains.
All right, let's introduce the founder and CEO of IO.net, Ahmad Shadid, as well as the COO and CFO, Tory Green. Ahmad and Tory, welcome to the Edge Podcast. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. On fire, man. Moving at the speed of light.
Thank you, guys. Very excited to be here.
So we're really excited to get to talk with you because I have viewed IO.net as really a trailblazer in this like emerging sector at the intersection of crypto, Web3, and AI. And we recently got to watch Tory's talk at Breakpoint, and it had us really digging in, trying to understand this decentralized compute network that you're building and all of the implications of it. So today we're going to give a very comprehensive overview of all that you've been building and some of the products that might stem from what you're building in the future. And so normally we like to start with just a little bit more about your background. So maybe let's go with Ahmad first. Can you share anything more about, what were you working on prior to IO.net? What kind of drew you to this intersection of crypto and AI?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I was doing I'm a quant systems engineer for the last 7 years. Been building quant systems for a few private equities, and I had my own fund trading 1,000 stock every day and more than 150 cryptocurrency. Day trading, the strategy was really interesting. It was basically trying to detect whenever there's like institutions trying to fill orders in the market and hide it. And then I built a whole machine learning model on that, and then scaled that to 1,000 stock and 150 crypto, and was really doing very well. And that's like mostly what I was doing.
And Tory, can you add to that? I'd love to get a little bit more about what else have you worked on in this space, and what led you to start working on IO.net?
Great question. So going back a little bit, I've had a couple different careers. Started off life sort of more corporate, did banking thing, private equity, corporate strategy. And then I moved into Web 2, was actually a co-founder of a digital publishing firm and VC for about 7 years. And during my 10 years at VC, I really started off more as an investing partner and moved to be an operating partner. So that means I was helping out our portfolio companies with sales, marketing, finance, operations, strategy, things like that. I had one role, which was one of my last roles, where I spent almost 2 years as COO, CRO, and CFO of Hum Capital, which is machine learning. During that time, I really sort of started to understand the AI space and the problems facing. At the same time, I had been very personally interested in crypto since 2016. I've written quite a bit about it on Medium, Twitter, even tried to write a book. I don't know if many people have read it, but it's sort of always been like an intellectual interest for me. And I always wanted to make the jump. But the problem that I kept noticing was I saw a lot of solutions looking for problems, especially in the DePIN space. I felt like, DePINs were, they weren't solving real problems. And so when I saw IONet, I was like, wow, this is a DePIN solving a hair on fire problem, which is the shortage of GPUs. And so I reached out to Ahmad, and, instantly, I think that's where my VC background came in. Like, I've talked to hundreds of founders, and I saw the qualities that make a great founder. Extremely intelligent, visionary, and perhaps most importantly, he has that it factor, that sense of urgency, that drive to move fast. And so I said, hey man, I want to start helping you out, and started working with him a bit. We had great chemistry, and I said, you know what, this is my opportunity. I think this is it. So a little over 3 months ago, joined full time.
Guys, I was wondering if one of you, maybe before we get into IO.net, could just break down the term DePIN for us. We're seeing that obviously crop up a lot lately over the last 6 months or so. And what better experts to talk about it than you two? So whoever wants to kind of just dive into what that definition means and just break that down for our audience.
Yeah, sure. I guess DePIN for me is a collective of people that are trying to replace current infrastructure that's already running or broken through investing in hardware. And then there's some kind of token in the middle to incentivize these parties to to do it. I don't know if it's like reading from a book, but I kind of like abstracting it to the minimum. But if you look at it, like think about it, like look at all the infrastructures in the world, like 5G, helium, and bringing people, buying some hotspots, routing 5G through people, broadcasting 5G and allowing 5G to go through, and kind of replacing telecom. Whatever the way they are even bringing the 5G into the 5G router, doesn't matter. But I mean, the concept is that you are providing some hardware to participate in a network, that if this network collectively have all this hardware, it could really bring value to people. Look about it for GPUs. A lot of the GPU people are building mining farms. I guess Ethereum was the best, and Bitcoin is the best DePIN actually, because really Bitcoin is the best DePIN. I mean, I visited a mining facility for a big company in Austin, $1.3 billion Bitcoin mining, ASIC miners, huge. That's the real DePIN, right? Like, this is the first DePIN, and kind of like the market is circulating back to what is really matter: hardware, real infrastructure that's not just in the wind, the things that are in the ground. Maybe not real estate and not real land, but at least, one layer on top of that, which is a real asset that you could touch with your hand. And I think mixing that with crypto in a way like Bitcoin did is very smart. And that's actually what is really deep. And it's bringing people who are bringing all these ASIC miners to make this network work. Whether this is efficient or not is another question here. But as of an architecture or as a concept, that's actually is a deep thing. It's not really hard to grasp.
Why do you think DePIN has found a home, this next generation of DePIN? If we're going to call Bitcoin and Ethereum like early examples of this, why is it as a sector growing so much now on Solana? Like, what about Solana makes it prime for DePIN protocols to grow?
I can't talk for others, but at least from my point of view is we don't want to build the blockchain yet, and we want to, well, first of all, before everything, community. Like, people are very friendly. You could easily get help, and you could easily grow within this community, and you feel like you're in a brotherhood in a way. That's one thing that Solana really has, plus huge investors. That's first. And then the second is you have amazing tools that allows you to use the blockchain to do microtransactions, to store data, some part of data, and so on. That really helps you in focusing first on building the product, but at the same time have all the features that Solana has and utilize whatever you need from it. It's really easy and simple, and the community is very huge. And I'm a Solana guy since $1.5. So
I think, to add to that, when I think about DePIN, it's really getting at what the heart of crypto is about. And I think, someone from Gartner said, like, this is what blockchains are made for. And, especially when you look at the GPU space, you really see an oligopoly dominating it. And anytime you have that, it won't extract very high results. So number one, DePIN breaks the oligopoly. Number two, it's just technically better, right? Like, it doesn't matter what it's a DePIN in, but like, if you look at GPUs, AWS, GCP, Azure, they're physically constrained. But with a DePIN, you can scale almost infinitely. And as you scale, the network gets better and more redundant. So it's really just a win-win-win.
And something Tory mentioned in that breakpoint presentation that we referenced earlier is just with all of these oligopolies buying up all the resources, there's a shortage kind of for everybody else. So I kind of see this as like a bit disintermediating that, and like, I don't know, kind of like getting more supply into the market. Is that fair to say? Or maybe how would you guys kind of frame up the problem right now in that GPU shortage that we're seeing?
So I don't think there is a shortage. And I'll get into why in a second. At a high level, there's a shortage. And to sort of understand the shortage, you have to really understand what GPUs do, right? And this is very basic level, but GPUs power AI, right? They're used to build, optimize, and deploy machine learning models. There's been just tremendous demand for this. The compute requirements are doubling every 3.4 months. And so I think like ChatGPT-3 took 500,000 times longer to build than, previous models a decade ago. So there's just this enormous demand for GPUs. And yes, on the surface, there is a shortage. The demand for GPUs in the cloud is 25 exaflops, and the supply in the cloud is 10. But what the market doesn't see is there's this whole sort of like hidden layer of supply, right? You've got things like independent data centers that are running, there's thousands of these in the US alone. They're running at 12 to 18% capacity. You've got all these crypto mining farms that are just, like bleeding profitability that are looking to put their hardware to work. And then you have consumer GPUs. And so there's all these sort of sources. And that's kind of where IONET comes in. We can, as a DePIN, we're not constrained. So we can go out and we can aggregate all these underutilized sources and sort of instantly solve the problem. And really what that does, and I'm sure we'll touch on this a bit more, is we're creating structural arbitrage, right? It's the same thing that Uber did for taxis or Airbnb did for hotels. By bringing more supply online, you're effectively able to simultaneously decrease prices by 10 times and increase profits for suppliers.
And there's like a really important thing here is like NVIDIA is monopolizing the market. I mean, if you look at NVIDIA knows that there's RTX 3090 and 4090 and all this supply available from gamers, and they could grab up and aggregate, bring this supply, buy it from people. They know that, of course. They're not dumb. But actually, and this is real information, current providers of GPUs, they have high demand because they have, AI startups and so on. And current providers of GPUs want to scale up. They want to bring in more GPUs. NVIDIA does not allow them to buy the H100 and the A100 if they don't sign that they will not, they will stop selling the 3090 and the 4090. This is it for everyone. So everyone would try to bring in 3090, 4090 in a data center and build a cloud on it. Then they got demand. NVIDIA said, look, you want to buy the H100, stop selling the 3090 and 4090. So this makes the supply, narrowed in a funnel that NVIDIA could control, even though there's all this supply all around. But no, let's buy only the H100, the A100, and keep growing in that price so NVIDIA could control, this and push prices up due to the demand, right? So this is, I don't know if you're going to delete this from a podcast, but this is the reality. So, but when you build a decentralized network, you allow these guys to come in, you still have to upgrade the infrastructure to match what the AI is requiring, like all the requirements of the AI apps. It's not like you're going to bring a gamer and suddenly he's an AI compute and it works. No, it doesn't work. There's a lot of infrastructure that need to be enhanced and pushed up. Even crypto mining facilities that are 20,000 GPU, they can't meet AI demand because the way they're set up. They need to change hard disk, increase storage, better RAM, better internet connectivity, and so on. Like there's some few things that they need to configure, but it's simple things. Like if they configured it, then they have access to AI compute or the AI compute money. And it's decentralized. They don't have to take permission from NVIDIA or take permission from anyone. They own the GPUs. They can do whatever they want, and they're not selling it. They are mining, right? So it's like a kind of still not really clear area, which makes this structure arbitrage. We're doing well.
One of the maybe analogies I've come up with is if you're coming from the world of DeFi and the history of DeFi sort of disrupting parts of traditional finance, there is this opportunity where you sort of cut out the middlemen and you're pulling all of this liquidity in a decentralized manner. So it's like a coordination solution is ultimately what it is. You're allowing all these folks to be incentivized to work together. And so I'm kind of looking at that equivalent of the liquidity that was pulled through DeFi as the compute that, in a decentralized manner that's pulled through IO.net. And you've got this protocol that ultimately lives on it, and thrives due to the consensus that happens through Solana. And Anyways, long story short, it's a coordination solution that we're talking about. There are some supply constraints. There's issues of centralization there in terms of who controls those GPUs, how they get sold, how they get distributed. And you're recognizing like an inefficiency in the market. And so that's what IO.net as a decentralized compute network does, is it makes the world a lot more efficient, brings all these resources together. And this is part of the reason, which has still been like shocking to me, at like how much cheaper of an offering you can provide than what the centralized services do. Anyways, correct me if I'm misframing anything.
Yeah,
there.
that's actually right. I mean, let me add two things. One thing about price. So how much cheaper? Like I was like, why it's cheaper? Why could you get it cheaper? Why could you? The answer is why not? I mean, if I explain to you, then everyone will understand it. So the RTX 3090, you could, if you are lucky, you will find it for 70 cents an hour on the cheapest cloud provider on the planet. That's like the cheapest you could find, actually 79 cents. So 0.79 with 24, that's $18.96 a day. Okay? Normal prices, you could go to Genesis Cloud, go to any provider, just see the prices. Now, take this card, go to NiceHash, look at the earnings or what to mine. There's no way that the most profitable coin right now will make you $1 for this card a day. The AI compute is making 18.96 a day, and you're making $1. The best coin, if you're lucky, and you're gonna have to keep switching coins, whenever there's a better coin. Ethereum at the maximum, when Ethereum was at the all-time high and it was really hype and so on, because of the price of Ethereum, the maximum this card could ever make was $7 a day. And this only lasted for 2 weeks, and then Ethereum dropped and so on. So let's say at the top hype of Ethereum, you would only make $7 a day, right? Now, for us, we're selling this card based on my Explorer. Correct me if I'm wrong later on, but I think it's around the 30 cents an hour. And that's $7.2 a day. So currently, we're just starting. If your GPU can meet the requirement of AI apps, you could make $7 a day. And we are trying to bring clients who book your GPU not for a day or two or a few hours. It's booked for 6 months, 3 months. So like you're talking about 7 times what you could make right now in crypto. And for the engineer who is paying $18 a day, now he's paying $7, and he's still getting the same quality.
I think that's huge. And I want to dive into that a little bit more later. Like the price, like competing on price is massive. Obviously, that's huge. But I'd like to kind of just walk through some of the other differentiators from, I guess, some of the traditional Web 2 cloud providers of like, Azure, AWS. Like where else in that flow or UI UX are you beating them, would you say? Like, I mean, price is probably enough, but like what else?
One thing about the price, like we talk about price a lot because, there is, like I said, it's a hair on fire price, is a hair on fire problem. But what we really offer, and this is like Ahmad can get in like a lot more detail, but we offer choice. Like you can, if you want, you can completely recreate a data center that AWS would have, like perfectly. So you can have the same performance, and maybe the cost savings isn't quite as much, but you can match performance. And if you wanted to, theoretically, let's say you're running a hedge fund in Manhattan right now, and you're using AWS in their data centers in Texas. You could bring the data center closer to you, like have something in upstate New York, and you could have even lower latency, which could be a huge competitive advantage in trade. So it's really like, ultimately, I think that at a high level, it's choice is what we offer. And so I just want to, I want to get rid of this notion that we're competing on price.
And I think the UX, like anyone who ever tried to deploy something on AWS, there's even a certificate that took you 3 months to know how to use the platform, the front end. Really, I'm not undervaluing the services AWS has. basically powering everything we have on the planet. And I can say it is, we kind of found a niche that could give us an opportunity to make network, like to make an income that's consistent to the network, that could grow this network massively at the point where or that this network could really then later on be able to itself, build crowdsource data centers, build more resources, and but later on a later stage. So we kind of like found what is the most profitable thing that is AI, like AWS is making money out of it, which is the AI compute. And then how could we exactly get into the AI compute in a way that would make consistent profit to the suppliers of the GPUs on the network area? And because of that will bring more and more of these suppliers. The more we have, then the more power we have to basically bring in more and more clients out of AWS to us. You don't have to move everything out of AWS. You could still keep database, this, that. They don't have to move everything. But once they look at our prices and once they see the user experience and once they see that it actually matched the performance, literally our networking performance, like if you test the speed of the GPU, we have GPUs that are faster than Lambda Cloud. Well, Lambda Cloud have like 40,000 H100 and 80,000 A100. It's huge. And startups, like the current startup we have, literally they are going out from Lambda Cloud and using our network because we have some GPUs that are so much faster than, like they are in the internet. They have internet that's faster than Lambda Cloud, and the reason why it's faster, not because Lambda Cloud can't make it, has so many clients. It's huge, right? So they can't just give all the network to one person. But when you go to the other mining facility, he's a 5-core storage provider. He has 10 gigabits of internet connectivity. When you download something, it's like this, so fast. When you download something, literally 10 gigabyte, you read it. I have never seen it anywhere. When you download a movie, that's 10 gigabyte speed to download. See, we have another storage provider in Netherlands, 80 gigabytes. Why he can have this? Because he's alone. It's just him and few other racks of servers. It's not 50,000 servers. So it's easier to provide such high speed. And that's really gives the advantage of having such decentralized network. Such small things really matter.
Before we talk more about the offering or the service that you provide, and I want to talk about how that works within the rules of the protocol, maybe we should also highlight, like, what are the trade-offs here? Because we've helped to highlight all of the advantages, I think, like some of the selling points to why a client might end up leaving AWS in the future and moving over to IO.net. So anyways, what do your naysayers say? What would a legacy competitor say about the trade-offs of using IO.net?
Easily the same experience. It's actually better. So, and I don't see a trade-off, but what I would say is like multiple things like auto deployment, CI/CD, like multiple features like defense on your API, like other small features that it took them years to add on the base compute layer, which we will move forward. Like we're already building such stuff and more features, but within, of course, the ML industry, ML ops, ML training and inference and so on. So that's kind of, you could say, in a way, trade-offs that we still don't have all this wide range of extra features on top of the GPU cluster you have. That's for sure, like that's kind of, I would say, a trade-off. But when you come back to, I'm doing that trade-off, so I could figure it out myself, they're already engineers. But at least I'm saving 60% first, at least 60%. And also, they are fast. I have wide range of supply in 45 countries, 20,000 GPUs, no question asked. You just literally click deploy, 10 seconds, you have the cluster. Done. That's it. As simple as that. So with AWS, with CoreWave, you feel like as a client, like you're begging them, guys, please give me GPUs. And they literally send me your pitch deck and send me your LinkedIn profile. What do you want with me? Like, I just want some GPUs. I wanted 2 GPUs. That's it. Why? And this is really annoying. So annoying. Like, it's a kind of KYCing thing here. And we don't want to do that. Like, just come in, jump, put your GPU, or come in, jump, rent any GPUs you want from anywhere. That's it. Like removing that, because it as a developer, it really hurted me. Like, why you ask me about my pitch deck and LinkedIn? I don't have a pitch deck. I don't have LinkedIn. So I don't want to send it to you. And one of the things we're solving, we're bringing it back to the engineer, we're giving them more power. And the community too is really critical. You go to AWS, who can help you? Like you go to Azure, this one person can help you. But here, you go to our Discord, and in the last 4 days, we closed like 150 tickets of support. And your ticket coming in, we're helping them. Our team is helping. Other engineers are helping that are deploying with us. So it's like more engagement and better user experience overall for the engineers that are in our kind of in our generation. Like we're talking about, this generation has its way to do it, and definitely Azure and AWS and so on. They're not gonna come with this mentality, so they will have their customers. They will have their own kind of market. Here, there's a market that's emerging, like all these startups. Like this startup we're serving, they just raised $24 million a few days ago. All the guys in this team is like less than 27. Who gonna serve this generation that is building this new big thing? Like this is the generation. So you need to serve them with their mentality, with the way we are working, the way we think. I'm part of this generation.
One thing actually on the question of the trade-offs, I think it goes back to what I was talking about us offering choice. And I remember I was on a call with the VC once, and they said, you can't be better, faster, cheap. You have to have trade-offs. And I said, no. I said, I disagree, because like what we're doing is truly disruptive, right? By bringing supply on, we're changing the inherent dynamics of the market. And so, yes, if you want to absolutely maximize for price, maybe there's a trade-off on performance, but there are cases where you can get better, faster, and cheaper than anything that's out there. And, we've seen this time and time again. It's just, it's a market disruption. To get really nerdy and academic, we're a disruptive innovation, not sustaining. And so we don't follow those rules of trade.
So if I'm a customer who starts to use compute from io.net, how do I pay? Really simple question. How are payments settled? How do folks who provide compute get paid? Are we getting paid in SOL or tokens or what?
Can we do a demo?
That would be great. Yeah. And if, by the way, for folks who listen to this in the future, just go to our YouTube and you'll find the video link there.
So right now I'm in the IO cloud. So the IO platform consists of IO Cloud, IO Explorer, and IO Worker. 3 different platforms that are serving the 2 different types of people, or basically 3. So the IO Cloud is for the ML engineers, AI engineers. The Explorer is for token and all the network and what's happening over the network. So think of it like AWS, but all the data that's happening is public and verified on chain. The IO Worker is the part where the suppliers of compute are monitoring the devices they have on the network. And also, I could look at, come into this device that I have. I'm mining my own project. I look at here, I have this RTX A6000. I can see uptime, information about the device, services that my device is running, all the jobs that my device was hired off, and how much I earned out of this job, and for which cluster this job was. So this is the part of the provider of compute. That's what they see. And earnings and rewards is I can claim my rewards with Solana Pay and USDC, later on with IO and IUSD coins. And this I could see all the jobs, all the amount of money I earned, all the amount of money I was slashed because, I went offline or something. And then a huge list of all the compute jobs that I did, which is clusters and so on. And then this is for the worker. I could connect a worker. It takes 2 minutes to connect it, and then it will download a few packages and it will be running out, and you'll see it back here in the devices. And then that's it. And here you could go to our Discord and Twitter. We go to the cloud where engineers deploy clusters. So the really, really critical thing here is if, a lot of people claim that they are providing AI compute, but if you want to provide AI compute, rent one instance and put a stable diffusion model on it, and that's it. But that's not it. That's not enough to bring the big money. So how could we bring the big startups, the people that are paying a lot of money consistently and booking clusters for long term? The way to do that is you need to give them 2 things, either Ray clusters or Kubernetes clusters. Kubernetes cluster is the most and widely used in the industry. If you can provide Kubernetes clusters, basically any type of workload could run on this machine. A machine, if one of the minor machines can provide Kubernetes services, it can provide almost any service, and any company on the planet, whatever the use case, they could use it. Now, whether it's ML, not ML, CPU, GPU, whatever. But here we're focused, of course, on GPU, but still it's open, and soon we will allow CPU to access it. The other thing is Ray. Ray, I said, the backbone of ChatGPT. Have you ever thought how ChatGPT is able to be so fast? How they train ChatGPT? It's a huge amount. The model is also big. How did they put? If the GPU RAM is like only 8 gigabytes, 80 gigabytes, but the model is 1 terabyte, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna put the model in 80 gigabytes? You can't, and you can't compress it. So what would you do? Is you will parallelize the model, and then you will have multiple GPUs talk to each other. It's one of the most complex. It's actually considered the most complex things in computer science. So this thing to distribute workloads and parallelize the model and all this requires a cluster. The moment you have two different GPUs and you want them to talk to each other to coordinate work, here you need Ray. And then but usually in the industry, you never even hear about Ray before you have actually built a scalable ML project. Before you have built a really huge distributed inference and distributed training project. And once you reach to that point, at that point you need Ray. And when you need that, you will find IO in front of you, because there's only two platforms on the planet that can give you a Ray cluster, which is Anyscale, which is the company that built Ray, and us. So when you go here and you click, and Anyscale, by the way, is used by OpenAI and Uber and Instacart. And we're in discussion with Anyscale team to put IO Cloud as an alternative provider there. So basically, OpenAI team will have the button, and they will see AWS, Azure, and then IONET. And that's coming Q1 or end of Q2. Now, when I deploy a cluster, I'm an engineer who want to deploy a cluster of GPUs, either it's inference or training or so on. They're differently configured. I would choose, I'm choosing here a supplier, and then I could see the available type of GPUs that I could rent. Now, this is live demo. We're really confident of our product. I can see there's 12 4090s, and then I could, select locations, maybe not US, Canada, France, South Korea, together. That's 8. Let's take the US 2, Russia. And then I choose security. We have some SOC 2 compliant GPUs, which serves most high-end enterprise clients. I want the connectivity speed that's medium, because low is really, so like medium, low, ultra high speed, and so on. Like they change the pricing. And then I choose why I want this cluster. And I basically just deploy it. If you look in the top here, when you click deploy cluster, we have a lot of choices, and we're going to keep building more, like Ray Cluster, Kubernetes, Ludwig, Ray, PyTorch, Hugging Face models, IO Native SDK, Unreal Engine 5 streaming, Unity streaming, a lot of things coming in really soon. Now, I can see at the end that I only have 5 GPUs to rent within this configuration I chose. So I'm going to take all of these 5 GPUs, and I will rent them for 1 hour, right? So right now I can see that the total cost is $2. Well, maybe let's take them for 7 hours. I should give it a name. Yes, I did. That's right. And I'll click deploy. Now, if I don't have payment, answering your question, I could pay either with credit card or with USDC. But at the end, even if you paid with credit card, and the reason why we have credit card is to remove friction from AI engineers who are not even in crypto. Why do they have to come into crypto? So we will take care of that hurdle from them. You pay in credit card, with the system automatically converts it to USDC, and then USDC is deposited into the wallet. And then this wallet is held in escrow. Now I already have a cluster. Show me in the whole world, in any cloud provider, that you could have a cluster that fast. Never, nowhere. I wish that there's a cluster that fast. That's my cluster. That's my 4 workers running. And switch to another theme. I can see I paid $17. This is the connectivity speed. I have GPUs literally from US, Russia, France, Canada. And I have Visual Studio Code. Basically, I can just jump in and start coding. And I can see all the devices that are now part of my cluster. Let's look at this device, whatever, randomly, this device. I can click on this device. I don't know who's the owner of this device, but I know that this device was running for 4 hours. It's from France. It's from INET 4090. This is the GPUs you have, and this is the jobs. If you look now at the jobs, you'll see our job that we just did. Maybe not yet. You'll see the job that he just started. And, you'll see all the amount of money that he earned and all the amount of money that he was slashed because maybe he went offline during the job. So back to the cluster, but we don't know who's this. And in the cluster areas, I can terminate and rename and so on. But if I go to cloud, let's take this cluster ID. This is because it's personal information. But if I go to the Explorer, where I can see all the 20,000 GPUs we have and all the supply, if I go to the clusters that I want to search a cluster, I could put my cluster ID here. I can see this cluster is already in the network, but it's private. Like, no one knows who's the owner of this cluster, but we can know that it's multiple GPUs and we can see all the GPUs in the cluster, and it's working. And big startups are already using it. Huge announcement coming in soon. Technology works, and it works at big scale, where it's really big scale. And what's really interesting is right now we're building these mega clusters that all these GPUs, you see the 17,000, the 1,000, 1,800 from Filecoin, all of them could be aggregated in a single mega cluster. And all of them could compute one job if we want. That's the power of this Ray clusters and the networking infrastructure we built.
Just to add on to that, Ahmad, so in looking at the space myself and kind of doing research as an investor on this like decentralized compute space, a lot of the other, I guess you could call them competitors in this space, are allowing a user to spin up what's called like an instance, or basically take command of one singular GPU. What you guys have been able to unlock is this clustering, which typically, from my understanding, needed to be done in a singular location in a data center somewhere with a, very like just in person, basically. So you're actually aggregating GPUs into a cluster that can talk together. And I hadn't seen this before until, we started talking to you guys, but I just wanted people to kind of understand kind of the magnitude of your offering and the differentiated nature. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, you're getting very right. I mean, the technology we have here, it can literally cluster 50 to 60, 70,000 GPU in a single cluster.
I got a crazy question. So could somebody conceivably build their own like LLM, like large language model through IO.net if they had the resources and the funds, of course, but would that be possible?
The technology we're built on top is the technology that is used by ChatGPT to train ChatGPT model, and is currently already used by ChatGPT, is ChatGPT to inference. It's the same technology and upgraded with a lot of networking infrastructure. So from the moment when we built the product, we didn't build the product to just come in and hype and go with the hype. We built the product to exactly serve anyone who's building on that same infrastructure, because those guys who are building on this exact infrastructure are the guys who have the money, and are the guys who are suffering from cost, and those are the guys that want a lot of GPUs and they can't find. And then we suddenly jumped in with an infrastructure that can actually support this. You could check my YouTube channel. I have a video now when I was demoing this product to OpenAI and Instacart and Uber. We're really in this industry at like the core, and we just went to the exact right place where we should be offering the product to really blow up the network. And that's what we're doing here. Focused to like specific clients, because we know these guys are huge. The client we just got in, just in the last 2 weeks, paid $94 or $98,000 compute just in 2 weeks. It's one client, one startup we're just playing with, literally playing. So imagine we have 560 startup in the pipeline coming in. The sales team is in here. Imagine all this money flowing in. They don't even have to know it's crypto. They're paying with Visa, ACH normally. It all comes in, flowing in, later flowing to the IO coin, burning, minting. It's a lot of money. It's like really, I'm sure we're going to witness a network that really the money that's flowing on demand of the network is more than the emission of the token. And I haven't yet seen this. But I think will be hopefully the one.
Yeah, and on top of that, as he was saying, because we're the only ones that can serve the enterprise AI customer, most of, this word competitor is very funny to us because most companies that people consider our competitors either are suppliers, are in talks to be suppliers, or want to be suppliers. Simple as that. I mean, you can already see a couple of them, and we can't mention the other ones, right?
Guys, one thing we might have not covered there is in that flow as a user, is there a fee that IO.net is taking at some point, or do you envision IO.net taking a fee in the future?
So, of course, there's a 5 to 10% fees, and this fee is not for us. It's a network fee, right? So what happens is, and it's on the cluster. So there's two fees. And before we talk about fees, let's talk about what is the flow of money that's coming in. So we have money coming in from booking clusters like what we showed you. This money, we charge 5% on this. And then you have money coming in, or the network charge 5%. And then money comes in for inference. Each inference, as I showed you before, maybe before the recording, on this BC8.ai, where each inference has proof of compute, and you click in it, you see a network fee, and you see all this small inference payment, like the microtransaction. So all this money that's flowing into the network, purely to the network, not paid to the workers or like the provider. This money is coming in directly to what we call IO.Ventures. Go to our website, IO.Ventures. You'll see we are the first VC that invest in startups only with AI compute. Like we don't give you money. We just give you access to GPUs. And all this money that's flowing in, this 5% and 10%, we're basically taking this money and we're putting it in the vault for the IO Ventures. And then the startups coming in to use the network. We invest in this startup by buying with this IO coin the compute that is in the IO network. So it's flowing back to the IO network. But at the same time, it's not just flowing back. It's flowing back with another startup that started here and then could scale and use more of it.
Tory and Ahmad, this is probably a good place for us to start to wrap up. So I want to remind our listeners they can learn more about IO.net by going to IO.net. They can also follow the official Twitter handle for IO.net. It is IONet_official. But otherwise, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us about all that you're building. Congrats on just the massive success you've had so early on. And we'd love to have you back in the future to talk more about IO.net.
Yeah, thank you so much, man, for having us. It was a great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to see how IOCoin and IONet, venture into this world.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're a talented founder or developer, please consider reaching out to our team at fourthrevolution.capital. And for future episodes of the Edge podcast, please check out our link tree at edge_pod.